That's the big
Three.
thing.
Episode 3.
103. Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode number 103 of Mirrorless Minutes. It's funny. I don't know if it's that the show count gets higher or I just get older.
Yeah.
But it seems like I'm always looking down at the bottom of the screen thinking, man, what number are we on again?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
It's hard to remember.
It's getting that way for me sometimes.
I know.
So how's it going, Mike?
It's going great. Going great tonight. Back home again. Actually, this is one of my few days home this month. I know I said I was going to be out, but I still am.
I know when we first got on, so I was with the family. You had already gotten on just before me pre-show, and I come up here and I sit down and I open up the screen here and I'm like, well, that doesn't look like a hotel room. So Mike's at home.
I took a big picture of that. I'm going to carry it around with me.
That would be epic
if
you did that. Yeah. Every hotel hotel room across America looks like
I was thinking of taking maybe like a big picture when I do the New York thing of Times Square and print it out behind me and, nice. Live from Times Square.
I think we know a printer here in Michigan that could do a wall clean for you.
Too. Yeah.
Yep. Big shout out to Rick Vestuto. He's the one that's been making all of our cool hats and shirts.
Cool hats. Definitely. Yeah, that's for sure.
So it's a big episode. We got some stuff we want to talk about, some stuff we want to announce and give away and things like that. But before that, let's take a few minutes and talk about, you've got an event coming up that's really cool, very unique, big time. And we can kind of recap what that is for people who maybe haven't heard about it. Or
yeah, it's possible I think you can still get in. I know they said they've sold out, but so I'm going to be leaving on Friday for Vancouver. Not the place usually I'm flying out to, that's for sure. But I'm flying into Vancouver on Friday and then going over to Nanaimo Island, which is one of the Vancouver Islands. Just sounds cool to begin with to say it. And I'm going to be doing a presentation talking about street and urban photography. And, I'm going to get something in there about live composite. I'm going to do about an hour and a half presentation, do about another hour and a half walk. And then I'm going to come back a little bit different. I don't even know if I told you this. We're going to go back and bring everybody back and do about an hour's worth of post-processing of some shots that I did, and people watched workflow and ask questions and stuff like that. So it's going to be a nice afternoon. They're getting all kinds of food and stuff. And I know they have 50 people signed up already.
Wow.
So it could be, it's a little bit, I'm hoping, Olivia's been great. The manager that's putting all this together. So if she's watching, fantastic job, Olivia. But I will say I'm a little nervous about the 50 people on the walk.
Wow. That's a lot, dude.
you and I have had, I think, upwards of 20, 25 maybe at out of Chicago events.
Yeah.
And those are pretty hard to handle for two of us.
For two people. Right.
So 50 could be interesting, but we'll figure it out one way or the other. I just hope the weather holds out because it's got a little bit of a rain. The highs there right now are in the like high 50s, like 58, 59 for the day.
Comfortable. That's comfortable for someone from Michigan.
Actually, it is really nice. It will be nice, and if it's not raining, it'll be better. But so it's a quick weekend, and I'm back on Sunday.
Very cool.
But a lot of flying. But it's great to be out there and doing an event again, because I think both of us haven't done a lot of events, so it's fun to get back out.
We've been doing our own events. We haven't done
we really have been doing our own thing, and
right.
And
then quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you said you got 50 people.
Yep.
If there was a 51st person who was listening or watching, what would be the easiest way for them to?
They have to. I'm going to share the actual printout of the announcement on my photo share tonight, but also, which means we'll end up dropping it in our photos.
Yep.
But that you have to call to get in this event. This is really like analog. There's no sign up sheets or any things, but it's free, so it's worth the call. Yeah. I can read the 250-753-5545. How about that announcer voice? One more time. Awesome. 250-753-5545. All right. So anyways, we'll make it better. We could put it in the notes, but yeah, you can call. I look at if somebody said you couldn't come in, just go stand on the stand there. I don't think anybody's going to count to 51.
Yeah, I think with 50 people, a couple of people could just slip right in and nobody be any the wiser.
End up not showing up. So yeah, real excited. And I know Peter's worked there before. One of Peter Baumgartner, one of our other visionaries up there in Canada, and he's been at this place before. It's just amazing. So should be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. It's funny. So we had Rich in the chat room said he's bummed he's missing the UP trip. I've got a workshop next week with a fellow Vanguard professional, Mark Miller, and we were down to one spot open, and it's crazy. Just yesterday, that spot got filled up. So if you were on the fence about it, I apologize that one filled up, but keep your eyes peeled for more workshops coming up as far as like the nature side of things are concerned.
Yeah. And that's going to be, that's coming up. That's next week, right?
Yeah, that's next week.
Yeah, so that's next week. So you got to get your stuff ready for that. Are you already trying to think about your equipment?
Yeah, I'm the worst person when it comes to that. Anybody who's done anything with me knows that my initial thought process is, pack what you need, Jamie. Just take what you need. And it's the advice that I give everybody that attends any of the workshops is pack what you're willing to carry.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I show up with literally almost one of everything minus the primes, and then two camera bodies, and then a point and then one of the tough cameras. I don't think I'm going to do that this time. I think I'm going to be smart and just take a couple of lenses.
Yeah, it's when I've seen them, I always say, thank God you don't shoot like the old DSLRs.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
You'd be in surgery, traction.
I'd definitely be hiring a Sherpa to go along for that. The only way that I could accomplish it with that size gear. So
yeah, I tried to get mine all in. I'm looking back behind here. I just working on it for this weekend. I'm going to try just going with the Pen F. And then if it rains, I'll take the EM1 Mark II. I'm actually not in. I'm just bringing the 217s, the M18, the 1.2, and the 12 to 100, and that's it. So we're going for that because I thought about bringing a bunch of other stuff because I might see something. I'm in Vancouver. I'm going to be in a plane or a car or a ferry. It's a hour and a half ferry ride.
Yeah,
to get over there. I said, I'm not. Whatever.
You bring up a really good point, and it's this internal struggle that I've been dealing with in my photography. And I'm probably going to write about this at some point, but I'll just talk about it now really quick. I have this mindset where I think I bring everything because I think I'm going to see a thing.
My problem.
You know what I mean? And then on those rare occasions where I say, okay, you don't need to bring everything. So let's say I leave the 300 at home.
Right.
I find myself in locations looking for things I would have shot with the 300 and not focusing on what I could actually shoot. And I think
what you brought.
Yeah, it's like this self not fulfilling prophecy per se, but it's me enabling myself to feel like I need to bring everything. So I'm trying to work through that. I'm just curious if anybody in the chat room or anybody listening afterwards does a similar thing like that, where if you don't bring something, you find yourself looking for things to shoot with what you didn't bring. Just curious.
I think maybe it sounds like you need a group. Like you got to get together with a group.
There's probably a syndrome for this or something.
My name is Jamie, and I bring too much gear.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Something I should be sitting in a circle with people talking about.
Yeah.
So let's do a little bit of an image share. I know that I'm really excited to share images tonight, just because I want to talk about those images. But why don't you fire up that old share engine?
All right, here we go. Can you see the advertisement for the event this weekend? Good. Okay, so this is just real quick, just talking about two things. So first off, this will be on Mirrorless Minutes on the Facebook. We have a group for every single show we do. We'll group all our shots together, and this will be out there. This has the phone number on it and everything. It talks about what I'm going to talk about this weekend. Won't spend too much on that. And this doesn't have anything with it, but I wanted to say what it was. I also am doing a free workshop out here, just some street workshop. And also Lou Peoples, one of our local Detroit photographers. You've heard Jamie and I refer to him many times on the show, most likely as the dentist. But maybe I'll explain that morning or something. But Eastern Market, October 13th. I know it's fairly full. I'm not sure if it's sold out. I wouldn't say it's sold out because it is free, but come join us. And it's a great place to shoot in the morning. So the last couple of weeks, as you know, I've been hitting around Detroit, going on these crazy little bird scooters that they've got. And so I'm working on a project there. That's my daughter. And she's putting together, start doing a website where she's going to be providing training and workouts and all kinds of things, and more to come on that. But we're taking some pictures for that right now. And so this is actually with the EM1 Mark II and the 17 1.2. Super foggy day. You really can't tell other than the top there, but great, just good picture to get down there and fun. We were there, and all kinds of graffiti where we were going with the birds, and same lens here, the 17 1.2, and just trying to get some action shots and some shots that, hey, if you're athletic, this is what you might want on your website. So it's an interesting project to start for something like that. And then one of the things that I've been able to do this past weekend, which is just dogged me, and I know Jamie and I feel like I need a group for this one, and that is shooting with my drone. I have that darn drone. I've got the Mavic Air, and I just cannot find the time to get out and use it. So I finally did here a couple weekends ago. And I went back actually to my old high school in St. Cloud Shores, Michigan here. And because I had heard about from my uncle about they're selling or giving parking spots for the seniors, and they're allowing the seniors to paint them. I thought that's a pretty cool idea. So I said, best way to take a picture here is with the drone from up above. So I was able to fly around in an early morning and get some shots with a lot of vibrance. And again, this is with the Mavic Air, of course, shot up probably about 100 feet here. And there's more spots. I did a little video, but it felt good to get that drone back out. And I want to get out again because I need to do some other stuff too. Then this next one's taken with the the Insta 361, and I have it up on the extended selfie stick. So it sounds funny here because when you talk about selfie sticks, 9 feet tall. So this is way up there, and I just turn it into a tiny planet. But then I've got this app called Circular, and if you do shoot 360, I absolutely recommend you getting this app. We don't get sponsored by them, nothing like that, but it's a fantastic app, and I really like it. And it lets you actually continue to multiply your picture over and over, and you can do some really crazy stuff like this. It was just you can see it's all the parking spots in the school there. But it's got a very different look. So lots of fun. And if you can pick up a Circular app for your phone, and they have one in the Mac App Store too. It is only Mac, so sorry, Windows users, it won't work for yours. Then the next one, last 2 weeks, got out to the slow roll. You've probably heard me talk about the slow roll a lot, but this picture is more special. It may not be special to a lot of people, but to me, it's very special. It's my dad there, 2 over from my left, my son, daughter, and wife. Older son wasn't able to come. He lives about 4 hours away, but it's just fun to be at the slow roll. 3 generations now there one night. My dad's got that awesome looking Schwinn bike from the 50s. Someone told him it looked like Pee Wee Herman's bike, and sure enough, I think it might have been one from the show. But this is with the Olympus OMD EM10 Mark III and the 14-42. That's my standard bike riding camera. Throwing it over my shoulder, and real fast, easy, and very light. So it's always a good one. And this is one of my favorite shots that I've had from slow roll over the last couple of years. And that's with the 14-42 easy lens on the EM10 Mark. The EM10 Mark III. Really do like this shot. It just gives that feel when you've got hundreds and hundreds of people in front of you, and behind you got hundreds and hundreds. Again, this is a bike ride on Monday nights in Detroit throughout the city. About 4,000 people come. Sometimes it's 2 to 3, but this one there's a real big turnout. And usually the sun's going down while we're riding. So really cool stuff. And this shot here, I just really like the way it makes me feel. It's nice hot summer night there, the sun going down in Detroit. All right. So that is it. I am back. All right. You there?
Yeah. So I've got a question. Is that there's no way that Schwinn is original, right? Or is that a newer one that looks like the old?
Oh no, it's original.
Wow.
Yeah, that bike's got that big I don't know, what is that top post where it's like got a compartment on it. It's so
Yeah.
cool looking. It weighs about 65 pounds, 70 pounds. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's not anything light. I can tell you that much.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fun times. Fun times.
All
So
right.
you're going to go right into it too, aren't you? Into sharing?
I'm going right into it.
All right. Let's hear it.
I love how lately Preview is doing that thing where you can't see a preview of your image. I don't know what the deal is with it, but anyways, so I kind of want to change up how I'm doing image shares, at least for me, for sure. I get a lot of questions about, what were you thinking? What equipment were you using? Talk more about the image that you're sharing. So that's kind of what I'm going to do moving forward. So this is one just from last weekend. I needed a break from reality, I guess you could say. And in the town I live in, there's this small patch of woods, maybe 15 or 20 acres, not giant, but it has trails that go through it. And as a side hobby, I've been reading up on mushrooms, and well, I like to eat mushrooms. So I figured I'm going to learn about, harvesting, or not harvesting, but foraging for mushrooms here in Michigan. So that's kind of what I did. Is I went out and just took a walk in the woods and found several different varieties of mushrooms, some edible, some not. But I just thought it'd kind of be a cool opportunity to photograph what I'm finding. So that's kind of what I did here. And I literally went out with 2 lenses and 1 camera body. So it's the EM1 Mark II, and I have the 8mm 1.8 fisheye on here for this shot. And another thing I collect on the side are handmade knives, not mass-produced knives. So this is a handmade knife that I had with me for harvesting or collecting the mushrooms, and thought, man, it'd be kind of cool to just make a little scene in the woods with those elements. The mushroom on the left in the image, inedible. The one on the right is a chanterelle, very delicious mushroom. And I started doing a new processing technique using LUTs. So those are lookup tables. It's kind of something that most people, if you've heard of it, have heard of it in relationship to video and not so much photographs. But you can use them in Lightroom and in Photoshop, Adobe's RAW converter, on images, still images. So that's kind of what I've been doing, is playing around with LUT files. And the benefit of using a LUT versus just making the adjustments using the sliders in Lightroom is that what happens is you're applying this look to the image and not affecting your sliders at all. So if you go into your camera profiles in Adobe Lightroom, you can have it match Adobe Camera Raw, or you can have it match, in the Olympus's case, like the vivid or the muted. And then you still have all the flexibility of all the sliders and adjustments in Lightroom that you can do after the fact. So that's what I've been experimenting with here in this image. I applied a LUT and then came back in and then selectively started adjusting different things in the tonal ranges here in the oranges and the greens to give it the look I was going for. So yeah, kind of something fun to start experimenting with. And if you've got questions about using LUTs in Lightroom, just feel free to message me on Facebook, or you can reach out to me via email on my website. It's jmcdonaldphoto.com. You can just swing over there and just drop me a line. I'd be glad to point you in the direction of getting started using LUTs. It's pretty fun. It's a really cool way to get cool looks from your images really easily, and then still allow you a lot of flexibility as well. So this next one, there's a couple of reasons I wanted to share it. The main reason is because it was an exciting night of storm chasing with some good friends of mine here in Michigan. Got out of work. I actually made a post while I was at work telling people, hey, there's storms headed towards the west side of the state. Does anybody want to go and chase storms? And I got several responses back. Ended up teaming up with my buddy David and my other buddy Rick and drove to the west side of the state on a quote unquote work night and stayed there until darn near 1 o'clock in the morning, 2.5 hour drive from home. So it was a wild night. But one of the things I wanted to mention about this is the first image in a series that I want to start doing. I've realized I take a lot of pictures, and some of them I'm really happy with, and they're only ever going to live in a brief post on Facebook or something, and then they're done. They're gone. Nobody's ever going to look at them again. Nothing happens with them. And I'm just going to start giving away photos. So that's what I did with this one. I put it out there. I put it on Dropbox. I did a big social media blast saying, hey, I love this image. I was happy with the way it turned out. I want to set it loose into the world. It's yours to keep. So that's what I did with this image. I just put it out there for whoever wanted to download it. You could run prints from it, do whatever you want. Please don't sell the image. I didn't put that caveat in there, but I think it would just be in poor taste if people went and sold the photo for their own, gains or whatever. But so again, first in the series of images that I'm going to do, I think once a month I'm going to give away something I'm really proud of and just turn it free into the world. So this was shot OMD EM1 Mark II, the 12-100 Pro. This is of course a live composite shot. And if you head over to the Facebook page for Mirrorless Minutes, we've got a gallery set up, or an album with images from this show, and this photo will be on there with all the settings. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was shot, as you can see on the right-hand side of the image, this was shot when it was still pretty light out. We arrived there just after sunset, still blue hour. So my live composite settings were pretty short. I think I was at ISO 200. I'm thinking f4 or f6.3. And the base exposure for the live composite was relatively short, probably just a couple of seconds. But I do know that the exposure ran on for a total time of probably about a half hour or 40 minutes. So it's pretty cool to be able to use a feature that allows you to run a 40-minute exposure during blue hour and then capture the lightning that ends up showing up, 30, 40 minutes later after dark. Yeah, I was kind of stoked on it. And I figured, you know what, this is definitely something that I should just turn loose into the world and let other people play with and have fun. And I know one of the viewers tonight, Mike, he actually ran a print off of it. So it's pretty cool to see it live in physical form somewhere. This was, I'm kind of losing it here. I don't know if this was from the same night or that following weekend I went back out storm chasing. It was a really busy weekend week on the west side of the state with storms, an entire week straight of just nonstop storms, it seemed like. But the reason I wanted to share this one is because there are a lot of misunderstandings about live composite and how you should use the different settings in it, and what they mean. So the big thing that I just want to talk about with this one is base exposure settings. There's a misunderstanding that base exposure, we'll say that if you used a 60-second base exposure, the misunderstanding is that they think that the 60 seconds is that every 60 seconds it's like gathering light and then starting a new 60 seconds. And that's really not what it's doing. What that base exposure does is it allows you to expose your initial scene. So in this image, you can see that the lighthouse is exposed. You can actually see that there's a door and there's stairs that go up it, and there's little things attached to the side of the cement and so on. In order to get that, I needed to do a long enough exposure to expose for the lighthouse. So that was the goal here. So that required for me not only a 60-second base exposure, but that also required me to bump my ISO up to bring out that exposure as well. I did an initial shot of this with a base exposure of 60 seconds, but I was at ISO 200, and the lighthouse was very dark, save for the roof area and the water right here, because of the light on the fog house here turning on and off. So after doing that first one at 60 seconds and only ISO 200, I realized, okay, I need to bump up something. I couldn't open the lens up anymore because I was at f4 already. So that meant I had to raise the ISO and then reshoot that base exposure. So just keep in mind, folks, when you're using live composite, that base exposure, I can totally losing it on what the term is on the camera, but when you set up your live composite and hit menu, that little selection that comes up where you can choose different times there, that is setting your initial exposure for your scene. So if you have foreground elements that you want exposed, you're going to need to adjust those settings accordingly. So this again is EM1 Mark II, 12-100, f4, ISO 400, base exposure of 60 seconds to expose for the foreground here. And I think that this ran again for about 25 minutes or so, not super long, but long enough to get a lot of action out there in the clouds. Same with this one, and I'm just going to reiterate the fact that the whole thing, all my settings were predicated on getting foreground and background elements exposed properly. I knew that it was going to, this was probably the identical settings. Although maybe a little deeper as far as the aperture is concerned. This was probably at 6.3. I have to go back and look at my EXIF data on this, but I'm thinking 6.3 or f8, and then I think ISO 800 maybe, and then again 60 seconds so that everything exposed in the foreground. This one right here, this is straight out of the camera. There's no touching this. This was just right from the camera, right into Lightroom, right out of Lightroom as a JPEG, no edits made to this. So again, the importance of a proper base exposure so you can have your foreground elements visible. And this was taken the same night as this previous image was as well. This was before the lightning shots were taken. Initially, I was supposed to meet a single person at this barn to teach her how to use live composite. She's a new Olympus user, and she's headed to Iceland pretty soon, and she wanted to be able to do long exposure star trails, and she was just curious how to shoot at night with her camera. And then my individual one-on-one session turned into like this big group meetup and ended up with like 10 people or something there. And so live composite, I set up with the foreground being my, my focal point and my base exposure. Initially it was going to be for this, and did a test shot. And this is actually me out here with a big LED strip, and I was spinning it, trying to make an orb to make this image. But well, it just ended up being just a whole blob of white light because I wasn't spinning fast enough. I was turning too slow. It ended up blending into just one big ball of light. But I kind of liked the way that it turned out. So this was the EM1 Mark II, the 7-14 Pro at 7mm, as you can probably tell by the crazy the look of the barn here. But just a fun shot, and it was just really cool to show up out there and have a bunch of people show up and just want to do some fun light painting and stuff like that. And the last one, again, goes along with the mushroom theme, I guess. That same weekend as all the lightning photos were taken near the campground that we stay at. We've got a camper on a seasonal site. There are plenty of woods and places to walk. So I went around and just started collecting mushrooms and things that I was finding in the woods, and decided to start playing around with something different. I'm always telling people, take a feature in your camera and then try to build off of it or do something more with it. So I went through a phase where I was doing panoramic photos, but instead of just doing a panorama, I was doing bracketed shots. So I was doing HDR panoramas. And then I was doing panoramas where I would do high res mode shots, individually bracketed. So I was getting like these crazy, like 400 or 500 megapixel, images that I was doing like that. So this is along the same lines. What I was doing is I was shooting high res mode shots, and then I was bracketing the focus by hand. So this one, and of course you're never going to be able to really get the gist of it, I guess, without downloading the full file. But so this was shot with, I think it was 3 or 4 individually bracketed shots at f8, manually adjusting the focal plane on it, but they're high res shots. So each one of those is an 80 megapixel shot times, I think, 3. So 240 megapixels worth of combined data to make the scene. And then again, just playing with the LUTs that I was talking about is kind of how I got that cool color graded look, with the fade to it. So again, just take those features that are built into your camera, use them, kind of get familiar with what they do, and then just start building on those and using them in different ways. So again, like I said, the bracketed shots, and then take bracketed shots and do them in high res. Now take those bracketed high res shots and start panning throughout the scene and building them up, and just do something different with the images. It's a lot of fun. As long as your computer can put them together, like, it might get a little hot and chug along to do it, but it's really cool.
Yeah, that mushroom shot is great. I don't know if I actually saw that one. You may not have posted that one, or maybe I missed it. But I think that the key is, if you just seeing it on tonight on the show doesn't give it justice, I'm positive. Because everybody's internet connection comes in a little wonky sometimes.
Right. Or mine's probably junk.
Definitely got to go tomorrow and check those out, like full screen.
Yeah, for sure.
See what he's talking about, because even Facebook won't be the greatest, but boy, I tell you what, it'll be a lot better probably than watching it live.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time to this show, feel free, if you're comfortable doing so, you can add Mike and I as friends on Facebook. Yeah. We're like social. I
don't call it butterflies. I don't know.
And we're beyond that. We're promiscuous on social media, I guess you could say. We get around, but we're always glad to add more people to our list of friends and answer questions for you guys. And I'm also saying that because if anybody wants the lightning picture that doesn't have it, if you're friends with me on Facebook or start following me on social media, you'll find the link to that image if it's something that you're interested in messing around with or printing off or just putting as a wallpaper on your computer, because I did crop it 16:9, so it fits screens pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. That's cool. No, that's a good idea. That's a good idea to do that. And same thing. Yeah, if you get a hold of us, and we're really quick on responding, I can tell you that.
Like ridiculously quick. Yeah,
and I mean, I've had people, and I know you have too, where they've actually been out like at a site or somewhere, and they're saying, "Hey, what was that setting you were using?"
Oh yes,
like on the streets of Chicago right now.
I've done that twice that I can remember, where I got a message saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting ready to shoot, and I forgot this or that," and I'm like, I message back, "Here's my phone number, just call me."
Yeah.
What were we gonna do?
I don't know. Was it something back with 100?
Yes, we're gonna give away some stuff. How about that?
We've got stuff.
I know there's probably a couple of people tuned in that are like, "Dudes, come on,
did I win or
win something?" Do you want me to just raffle through everybody? Do you want to raffle through the panel clip people?
Go ahead. I'll chime in where need be or whatever.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to start off with this one. So Vanguard chipped in, and they're giving away a bag and a tripod. And again, I'm a space cadet tonight. I don't remember exact models. It's back in show 100. You can see the description there of exactly which products are given away. But I just want to say that Patrick Serena is the person who won that.
Hey.
And just so you guys know how this worked, we took everybody who had either used the hashtag, if you had done a review on iTunes, if you were a Patreon member, took those all, put them in a spreadsheet. And then for the people who got 5 entries, I literally just duplicated their name and then randomly put them into the spreadsheet. And then we just used a random number generator to draw them. So with that being said, Patrick is a Patreon subscriber, Patreon supporter, which is awesome. I'm glad to kind of see a Patreon supporter win something, because they are contributing and helping make all this possible. But Patrick Serena, I hope you're watching or listening to this tomorrow on the audio version. Congrats, dude. You won a backpack and a bag and a tripod. That's
a nice outfit there.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Who can't use an extra tripod?
I know.
Camera bag.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. We're bad.
Yeah.
And then we're giving away an OMD EM10 Mark III and 14 to 42 Easy kit. Comes in the little bag. It's a cool, fun camera.
It's the one that I was shooting the stuff with.
Yes.
At the slow roll. My pictures tonight.
I love it. It's an awesome camera. And that comes from an iTunes review. So that's cool. Joshua Platt. So Joshua Platt won that. And I don't know that I've had really interactions with Joshua online. I'm trying to remember, and I'm not thinking of any. So that's even cooler. Like if it's somebody that we don't talk to regularly, or that I don't, recognize interactions with, it's cool to be giving somebody like that a brand new camera and lens. So that's pretty sweet. Bill Booth. So we've known Bill forever. Bill's been like a buddy to the show since like forever. Yep.
Forever. He may be one of our first 10 people.
Right.
There were only 10 that would tune in.
Well, and this is cool. Okay, so Bill won a panel clip, and he's one of those people that loves to like do things. Like he's got a channel for video on YouTube that he does, and he started groups for that stuff. So I know that Bill's perfect candidate for something like this. That's just gonna open up the creative juices and let him experiment with some new stuff. So that's cool. So Bill Booth's panel clip coming your way. And last but not least, and I hope I don't pronounce this wrong, it's Lisa Osta.
Yeah. I know if it's Osta or Osta. But we know her well she's been at one of our workshops.
And won a panel clip.
Yeah, she won a panel clip too. And the great thing about Lisa, for those of you that may not know her, she is crazy about Apple products. So I know she has iPhones for this to work on.
That's super cool.
And Bill does too. But Lisa is, I guarantee you, she was tuned in today. Usually we talk. Today we didn't. Usually we talk during the
Apple keynotes.
So she's always saying, I'm getting this, I'm not getting that, so she's going to love it. So congratulations, Lisa. That's awesome. That
is awesome. So the way this will work, if you're somebody who won, you can either reach out via social media, message either Mike or myself, whatever platform you want to use, or I'll throw out my email address out there. It's info, pretty generic, right? info at jmacdonaldphoto.com. info at jmacdonaldphoto.com. Reach out to us in any of the methods that I mentioned above, and we'll make sure that Olympus, Vanguard, and Mike, because he actually has the panel clips there, send out the gear to the appropriate winner. And just huge thank you to you guys for sticking around for like all these episodes. Kind of crazy.
Yeah,
and thanks to our sponsors, man, Vanguard and Olympus and is it Insta? I'm confused.
It's Insta 360.
Okay,
yeah.
so yeah,
Even though they're made by another company, I think it's a offshoot of Insta
the parent company is Insta 360. So now I'm sure everybody knows about Insta 360.
Yeah.
So good stuff, man. I'm pretty pumped
for sure. Yeah.
So I know that you said you got some episodes coming up that are going to be kind of tricky for you. So we'll probably have some guests coming on, and I'm just curious. This is totally off the cuff random. If anybody's interested in coming on as a guest, that would be kind of cool to have a viewer guest episode. I'd love to do that. And if somebody listening or watching is interested and wants to get in front of the camera and put up with me talking nonstop, that'd be great.
And it's very easygoing, as you can see. I mean, we don't expect a lot. I mean, look at our backgrounds.
Right. I'm in my wife's craft room. Come on.
And I'm in my daughter's old room now. She's moved out. So it's just, hey, it's no big deal. But it's simply just all really I need is a pair of earbuds. You don't need a lot of these microphones and stuff we're using. A pair of earbuds and a way to get on. So that's it.
And just another thing too, I'm gonna throw it out there. We're not gonna go into detail, obviously, right now, but probably in November, one of our November episodes, Mike and I are going to talk about next year's workshop schedule. We're gonna meet and discuss how to go about that. Just you guys think about this. Keep this in mind. Last year, what we did, we ended up in Atlanta at Old Car City and shot in Atlanta. It was super cool. It was a very fun workshop. And Mike and I loved the fact that that you guys picked out the location. So we're thinking we might do that again. So keep it in your mind. Cool location to shoot that you'd be interested in going to a workshop at. And when we start talking about,
probably keep it in the U.S.
Yes. Oh, please.
Now we're going outside the U.S. unless somebody wants to pay for our flights, then we're
for sure.
Yeah.
So I'll answer a really quick question before we go, because we are hitting our mark to leave. And Snap Vegan down in Indiana, who shares winter weather with us, is asking, discussing climate acclimation prior to a shoot. That can be tricky, and in all honesty, I would say put it in your trunk of your vehicle. If you don't have a hatchback, that is, if you have just a standard trunk on your car, put it in the trunk with the opening on your bag open when you bring it out. So it's not going to be probably as cold as it is outdoors. It's going to be a lot cooler than it is in the cabin of your vehicle, less likely to run into fogging issues. And I'm assuming that's what you're talking about is fogging up of lenses and things like that. So that's what I would do. That's kind of what I've done in the past. It's either that or you're just going to be really frustrated until everything acclimates.
Yeah. And it works great. Last week in Tampa, you walked anywhere, it was so foggy, and I tried to grab a quick shot off a balcony coming out of the air conditioned room. Obviously it's not going to work because of the fogged up, but I did go out to shoot, and sure enough, that's exactly what I did. Get it in the trunk, make sure it doesn't roll around if you have to take quick turns, but get it acclimated, and then it worked fine.
Yeah, so just wondering what kind of driving you do. Just make sure it can't move in case you have to do quick turns. Like, what is it you do for a living?
All
right, you guys. So that's episode 103. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and making all these possible. Again, before we go, really quick, I'm just going to drop that out there. Patreon.com/Mirrorless Minutes. We really appreciate the support. It kind of makes this whole thing go round and round. You guys take care, and we'll see you in 2 more weeks.
Take it easy.